Okay, this video is just going to explain a little bit about the learning process. So I'm going to keep this pretty high level, pretty simple. So what we are going to have are sets of data points. I'm going to just represent this as a block of data. So I've got my visitors. I'm going to say this is visitor data here. So I've got my visitor information. I then, obviously, the only thing we want out of the visitors are profits. That's why the operation exists. So if we, over here, I want to say this is net profit. Now, obviously the challenge here and the thing that upsets everything is the market, because the visitor has choice about where they go. So they can buy from your own website or somewhere else, and hence your profits can be low or high. And you then have further considerations to do with your actual buying price and whether you can get a low buying price. So we don't know in advance what the market's doing, because it's big, it's dynamic, it changes every day, every minute. So we need some process to work that out, and that's really what this is all about. And I'm going to here use the term deep learning. I'm not in this video going to go into many details about that, but I'm just going to say a deep learning engine here. So what I want to do is my visitor will come in, they will interact with the website, and they'll produce a profit. And I'm going to feed this in as data. So I get a link, my visitor supplies data, which will be a buying transaction, a bounce rate, and various other visiting various pages. And then this translates to a profit. Now, what we critically want to do in deep learning are make predictions. So I want to say, if my visitor comes in and interacts with a certain web page, what profit will be generated, and hence I can adjust site characteristics. So I've got down here the actual catalogue on the website. So this is my catalogue. The whole thing to understand is I have a feedback in this system. So my visitor comes in, engages in various transactions, and then from those transactions there's some kind of feedback back to the visitor. So put arrows on these. Now obviously there is also connection with, in practice, what is actually going on is the user is actually interacting with the catalogue, and the catalogue is then linked in to the learning process. So we've got a connection here, and then we have a connection based on the decisions being made back into the catalogue. So we've got another connection going the other way. So what this means is that let's say the visitor comes in and they decide to buy something at a certain price, P. I'm going to call that P, and this produces a certain profit, N, or NP, net profit. So my price produces a certain profit, and this becomes a relationship subject to, as we've gone through on the other videos, to the actual market. So the deep learning engine will have in here some sort of market database. So there is in fact another connection over here, which is market. That information will come through some sort of market analysis. The point here, the learning point, is that this is not based on a set of rules or models. We're not saying if the market price is 5 standard deviations, do certain things. We are looking at this purely empirically. So if we have a set of data points for price and a set of net profits, we then feed this back and make decisions, and this engine will then make predictions based on what a price in the future might be. So we've got an aspect here which is to do with a future price. So I'm going to just say FP, future price, and then I want to know what my future, or what, let's say what my predicted profit will be. Predicted profit. So this is the crucial thing. So I know this already happened. I know that there was a certain price and a certain profit based on market conditions and based on the catalogue. I want to know what will be the future price in order to generate certain profits. So if this price, let's say £100 based on certain conditions, if that price is then £150, what will be the profit considering the negative effects of downgrading conversion rates? We won't know what all the market dynamics are in terms of rules because there are too many factors. But what we can do is observe what factors characterize the market. So we've got a link here, and from these factors empirically learn. So for example, let's say we're selling a certain product and there are 100 other people selling the same product. We might get a certain conversion rate and hence a certain profit, and if we discover that only in another product only 10 people are selling, we might find a different dynamic. And then the last part that goes into all of this will be the actual visitor costs. So that is going to be a factor down here, which are visitor. I've put this down separately because this is basically a very high cost for a lot of companies. This will be paid to pay-as-you-click services, and this cost here can be what sinks the whole model basically. So if you're paying a lot of money to bring people in and you're getting low net profits from it because the conversion rates are bad due to market dynamics and your own buying prices, this can therefore mean your whole business falls over, and hence this visitor cost is very important. And then just sort of very last point to all of this is that this is all empirically based. So this is all empirical learning. So we're not programming lots of rules, it's all based on user experience, and hence the more data we have, the older the system, the more experience it has, these learning processes will be improved, and we can then make certain predictions, and the predictions can actually go the other way. So we can say, in order to get a net profit of say £1 million, what pricing structure should we have here and what catalogue should we produce, making certain predictions on the history of the market.